Guitar Shifts. Welcome to the third official episode of the 52-Week Guitar Player Podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, Kaio Antunes, 52-Week Guitar Player Instructor.
Hey, Guitar Chefs. I'm Kaio.
And today we have a very special guest for you, all the way, technically, from Lithuania to now the U.S., Mr. Dovydas.
Oh, and if you can add some kind of like rock riff, I'll just shake my head like that. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Or like I say on my channel, I say hi one person who's watching all my videos.
By the way, Dovydas, pardon my ignorance, but is Dovydas your actual name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my real name,
Oh, cool.
What's your last name?
It's Mushchinskas.
Machinskis?
It's Mushchinskas. That's my last name.
Mushchinskas.
All right, you nailed it. Yeah, you got it.
Dovydas Mushchinskas.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. Hell yeah. Okay.
Thank you, man. It might take a little bit of reps for me to be able to say your last name quickly, as you have just done. But I'll get in the woodshed and I'll practice it. Get my reps in. So yeah, awesome, man. So my first question for you, I guess, is just we can start broad, I guess. I'd like to hear a little bit more about your story. I assume most of the people watching this kind of already have an idea of who you are and everything. But for those that don't, there are going to be some guitar chefs watching this that have never seen you before. So if you can give us a brief update, go for it.
Well, let's see. Well, I'm in California, and for the past 10 years, I was actually living in Florida. So I just moved to California in October, late October. And and then, during lockdown, all the musicians lost their gigs, so I started playing on the street and posting those videos. But even before that, I was posting on I guess I'm not giving you the story in the chronological order. Where would you like me to begin? In the beginning, Moses came down from the Mount of Sinai with 2 tablets, and do I start there?
Well, you grew up in Lithuania, right? So obviously,
yeah. Okay, yes. So yeah, and when I was 19 years old, I left Lithuania and I came to America. So I sold everything I had, guitars and drums and stuff, and I came to America. And on an invitation from someone I've never met, I just only spoke to him through Facebook, and that's Steve. And he's sometimes in my videos when I go to Florida. I've done some shows with him. And so I've tried everything. I tried the traditional musician route, because you see, in Lithuania, I was on different TV shows and whatever you want to measure, it was success, successful or known. But it's a small country, so you can only get that much out of your music career, because I was on Lithuania's Got Talent, on this other network television show. I was on Eurovision. I was on, just a bunch of different things, and then I was 19 and left. And I came to America and I tried everything traditional route, like getting a deal with a record label. So I had a deal with a record label, released an album, recorded an album, shot a music video for one of the singles of the album, tried to go on tour, getting a booking agent, a manager, a producer, a promoter. It's all the traditional route, And it turns out that the model of traditional route of music towards the success, is dead. And it doesn't work. And and then my sister told me, did you know that PewDiePie makes money on YouTube? And I'm like, what? No, that's not true. YouTube is for cats. And that was 2015, 2016, because YouTube is for cat videos, And then I've, did my extensive research as an anthropologist through Bing.com. And it turns out it is true. So I'm like, okay, well, I got a DSLR, I got a tripod, I got a ring light from Amazon, and where are my views at? Because I sat down in the chair, I'm going to talk, and I talk a little bit about, this blues competition I was doing. I posted it. No one cares, who cares about a blues competition, So that video is private. You can't see it. Then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm already like doing shows like every day of the week, you know, so I'll just film that. So I'll bring a, you know, a tripod with a DSLR to a gig. I put it in front of me and I film the whole thing until DSLR dies at like 30 minutes. And then I just post the whole thing, like a 30-minute set. No one wants to watch a 30-minute set of like shred looping improvisation. You know, that's boring. I didn't think of that at the time. I'm like, where are my views at? And then I'm like, oh, I can chop it in separate songs. So I started chopping it in separate songs, you know, instead of like posting chunks until the camera dies, and leaving the conversations in between in the edit, you know, because normally if a musician posts a video of them playing, it's going to be like, it will start with the first note. But I'm like, okay, well, there's actually interesting people at these bars, restaurants, venues where I'm playing. And sometimes they're like, you know, they say off the wall stuff, you know, so I'm gonna leave that in the video. And that was the first video that blew up when someone requested Steve I, you know, and the lady was, you know, it was Tuesday, it was like maybe 5 people tops in the whole beer garden, you know. And I was already like shredding, you know, and she's like, "Can you play Tender Surrender by Steve I?" And I didn't see when exactly it blew up, because the hurricane was hitting Florida in 2017, so I was evacuating actually. It was 2017 Irma. It was already I think like I had like what, like maybe 100 subscribers, so I was able to change my username. Like, whoa, this is good, because when I came to America, I went by David Smash, and then I had a personality crisis in 2015, so I just switched back to Dovydas, you know. And it was already like that video, it was at 6,000 views, so I was like so excited because I was gonna, once it would reach like 10,000 views, I could show it to the manager of the brewery and ask for more pay, you know. Instead of 150 for 4 hours, I was gonna ask for $200 for 4 hours, because look, because you can see the logo of Motorworks Brewing in the back, you know, so it's like 20, you know, like 10,000 views on YouTube. It's like, I was like, yeah, I might get like paid more, like $50 a week more, you know. It's like, you know, how many pedals that is per year, you could like, you know. So anyways, and then, you know, lost all connection, left to Alabama, and then checked my phone in Alabama, and it's like it's at 100,000. And then I checked the thing a few days later. It's like, it was like 1 million in 5 days. It's just like, and then Guitar World magazine wrote an article about it, and some other magazine wrote a, you know, internet article about it. And then you know, people started discovering all the other videos, all of the you know, what I posted before, and I kept posting every day. And it could have been like a one-hit wonder, but because I had such a catalog of people requesting songs, you know, it just another video blew up a few months later, and here we are at the you know, 1.5 million fake accounts created by one person who's watching all my videos. So
yeah, yeah, humble. Well, so you already had some establishment, like your name was already a little established back in Lithuania before you even came to the States.
well, yeah, but like not on the, well, I mean, I can send you links, but it was like through the traditional ways of media, which does not translate. So the greatest benefit of that is just experience, you know, just being on television sets and seeing the behind the scenes, the behind backstage, and how it's, you know, being shot, directed, produced, and then you know, seeing all those things, you know, and gathering experience. So and from that, you know, that's why I've never done any other talent-based TV show, because I know how they're made, and I know that they're you know, full of it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just about to say, and like the way that they made the way that they're made is like a BS kind of vibe. Like it's they're full of it.
Mm-hmm. It's it's like well, it's a reality television, so the format is not talent. It's essentially getting a reaction out of the viewer, strong emotion-based reaction out of the viewer, and then having assets which are the characters of the show, and the characters of the show are the volunteering participants, essentially, that when they sign a contract, not only they sign a contract that, you know, waives all the rights to any kind of material in perpetuity, no, perpetuity across the universe. That's the words in the contract. And then they, you know, especially if you're a musician, then they control what you can post, what you cannot post. And not only that, they also control your appearance on the show. Let's say it's like a Got Talent type of format where, you know, it's an audition, and as soon as you like enter the stage, they can play funny background music in the edit when they air the episode. So it already primes the audience at home who are watching it, you know, oh, this is going to be funny or this is going to suck, you know, and they might edit. They have full right to do that because you sign it away. They might edit clips of audience members laughing, that they were laughing to something else from a different day. From they were reacting to someone else entirely. And then you say, the judges ask you a question, whatever, and you say no. And then they show in the edit someone laughing. So they already have the ability in the contract to make you look like an idiot, like a total, inadequate person. And or they can also edit out your answers, which, you know, they've done to me and numerous others, because, you know, you are there in person. You see the exchange between the contestant and the judges, and to something you said yes, they might edit and then no, you know, it's they can like just
They can manipulate it to their own liking.
exactly. So the full control of how you come across, just for the sake of ratings. So my recommendation to anyone watching and listening to this podcast is your best talent agency and your best bet and into getting type of recognition, because the reason people go to Got Talent shows or any kind of talent shows is to be seen. So a way better way to be seen is just YouTube, you know, or social media. Because even like today, like like America's Got Talent or like The Voice in America will claim that they have like 100 million viewers or some shit. And it's the Super Bowl, the most watched thing, like had 50 million viewers tops, you know. So maybe they get like per episode like well 5 million tops. I mean, they claim like maybe like 6 or 8, but I really doubt it. I have videos on my channel that were watched by one person, like over 10, over 15, like one video close to 20 million on just one video, 20 million views of a guy singing and me playing, you know. So it's like, you know what, better ratings than America's Got Talent.
Well, I mean, honestly though, and I feel like what you've done it's so unique, because not only is it unique in terms of playing live music, but it's also unique in terms of being a YouTuber. Because most musician YouTubers or most guitar YouTubers aren't creating content the way you are. Like, you've blended them together and created your own hybrid, it seems.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of guys I know that, you know, do music and do guitars, it's their content is like in the studio, you know, and all of them are great players. Everyone like who I know, and actually they perform, you know, they play like incredible licks. But that's, I guess, the aspect of performing, you know. And I've been performing since I was 15, you know, so I was already, it wasn't like much of a transition for me as much as just pointing a camera in my direction and then learning how to edit. So the content was there, it was just not filmed. And then I just started filming it and posting it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I actually have a couple students that are just playing live or just played live for the first time recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked one of them, I was like, did you notice that when you got on the stage, your talent and everything you knew about guitar diminished by 50%? Like, it basically halved, because like all your knowledge just like went out the window. And he said, no, it was 80% actually. So like, but you've been doing this since you were 15. So like, does that ever happen to you? Like, is there much of a discrepancy between what you can do in the practice room, like, or when you're practicing versus what you can do on stage? Or is that just like totally not a thing? Like, it's all the same at this point?
It seemed to have, there would be nervousness before playing, you know, especially when you're a teenager, you know, but that seemed to have faded out. So now I'm only nervous about the technical aspects of if the cables are routed properly, and or you know, like if the speakers is it going to feedback, is it this, and then another. Okay, so this is really interesting because there's an aspect of playing for strangers and you are nervous, but then I'm like thinking about this because I remember, you know, being nervous in front of strangers. Okay, so here's what happened. The lockdown happened in 2020. So I started playing on the street because no venue was open, and, you know, taking videos and filming videos there of me playing. And the street is like, well, if they don't like you, they're just gonna walk away. You know, they're not gonna like stay and endure the discomfort of how bad you are. So that was like first layer of liberation. So I just like show up, I set up and play for no one, and then people start to gather, and that's really good. And then when they start to gather, they're on the side. And then when the venues opened back up, I went on tour and I started doing shows where I announce ahead of time that I'm going to be playing. So like what really erased any nervousness playing in front of an audience, it's like everyone already knows me and they are on my side, and psychologically, you know, they came because I posted a video, come see me play live.
Mm-hmm.
And even before I start setting up, we're here, we drove 3 hours, we drove 4 hours, we watch all your videos, this is my niece, this is my mom, you know, it's like already like, so like by the time I'm like set up, I get up on stage, I say nothing, they start cheering. So it's like that just like erased completely, like I'm not nervous because they're like, they know I've never met these people. They know my inside jokes. They'd be like, I'm the one person. Oh, I'm the one person. You know, it's like allegedly, and because I sometimes say allegedly, or like, do the Rick roll, you know, because I do the Rick. So it's like, who are you guys? And then they laugh. Then it turns into like almost like a stand-up comedy routine because anything I say is like super funny. And it creates a feedback loop when you point a microphone into the speaker. So that's what happens. It's like you point that, you know, and it's like, and then like, I don't know, like 10 minutes later, it's like, okay, let's do music. And then I do a song, and, you know, so it's sort of like, even if ever there's like a shred of nervousness left, it's gone in the middle of the first song. It's like, that's it, you know, we're home, you know.
100%. So what would you say to someone though that doesn't have that and they're interested in performing live? Like, say they've played live once before, or they've never played live at all, or maybe they're already playing live but they're still nervous, and, you know, they don't have what you have, right? Because, you know, most people actually don't have what you have, believe it or not, right? So like, what would you say to someone in that position?
Well, I can't like a picture a hypothetical someone, but I can picture myself when I did it the first time. So I was like nervous as hell. I was like 14, and I was, you know, it was like a school talent show, but it was like each class we were singing a different song as a choir. And then I thought that it could be a good opportunity because after each class is done singing their bit, the judges are tallying up the scores, and then there's like a open air window where I could just play solo. And I asked the principal or whoever if I could, and they said, yeah, that's fine. And that was the first time I played by myself on stage in front of an audience, you know. So I just remember being nervous all day and just walking. So I suppose, well, definitely practicing to the point where you can get woken up in the middle of the night and still do it, or either you can, you know, be hung upside down and still do it. So it's sort of like the mechanical technical aspect, you know, like, and then, and some people I guess can't cope with fear, but for me, like the want to be on stage was greater than fear. So like regardless of fear, I was gonna like do it anyways, you know. Like I know people who like are actors like here in Hollywood, and they every time before they shoot a scene, they're so nervous they puke, you know.
Hmm.
But definitely like having having practiced to the point where it's the train that goes down the neural pathways is not going to derail because it's like the tube of the underground is like so well maintained. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of sending a signal back and forth from your brain to your hand and then back, you know. So yeah, definitely like practicing to the point where it's like there's not a shred of doubt. So the only doubt is in the if you have any if you know if they have any doubt, it's not if I'm gonna mess it up, it's not there because it's like solid. So that will definitely help because under some levels of uh, adrenaline and stress, if you're really good at something, under adrenaline and stress, you just become better at it. There's been like studies. It's not my opinion, but like if someone's like really good at something and just enough adrenaline, they're like that much better. And then they break PRs, they break personal records at the gym or at the Olympics or whatever with that adrenaline. And if someone's like bad at it with like adrenaline and stress, they're gonna be worse at it.
Hmm.
So it's like you want to like hit the threshold where adrenaline is gonna make you better.
Very interesting. So, man, there's so many like roads I could take this conversation because it's very interesting. But what I want to like the first thing that comes to mind after hearing what you just said is like basically you're saying that the prep work, like the live performance, like the majority of the work is done in preparation for that performance, right? And then when you go to perform, that's you know that takes up such a small amount of the entire prep, right? Um,
Right, because the how long is the song? The song's short, but to practice to like know the changes comfortably to where that like doesn't hurt the index finger when you do the bar chord, or it's like you're like so sweaty you're gonna lose the pick. That's another thing. Like don't so people will play in the air conditioned environments, especially well the beginners, and while sitting down too. Okay, so if anyone's listening and it's about their first time to go on stage and perform, practice standing up. Practice the way you're gonna perform it. That don't be like, I've learned the song, while sitting down, and then they like standing. It's like this is different. Standing up is different. And then depending on the venue, right? Like you're in the with your teacher or like a studio and it's like a comfortable chair, and it's like AC. Well, adrenaline, stress. So you're gonna sweat. Where do teenagers sweat most? Hands. So that's when the picks fall out. The picks will fall out. So like either better pick with like more grippy or something, or like also like dress accordingly because like venues are always hotter than like a sit down restaurant. It'll just get hot and you'll be hot because you're gonna be nervous. So like immediately internal body temperature, like you're gonna perspire, and depending on like people and like everyone looking at you, and lights alone, like depending on stage, even small stage will have like miscalibrated lights that are just like they're meant for a larger stage, but whoever planned the stage, they thought it would be cool, so they have like a big stage light, poof, and it's like hot, So yeah, sweat falling in your eyes, and then doing that, there's like maybe go see somebody if they know a venue where they're going to be performing, like go see somebody else play there like a month or a few weeks ahead of time, so you can like really familiarize. To this day I like doing that. If I like to see the venue, long before I play there. I like to see where I'm going to load in, how people are going to sit, how they're going to experience it, where I'm going to, the camera angles, how I'm going to do it, so it's because so this is like next step philosophy, but I believe like the venue is has acoustics, right?
Mm.
So, and then I'm gonna bridging a gap here, but essentially the venue is the instrument. So just like you tune the strings on the guitar, and then you tune the instrument, and then you play the instrument. You get up on stage and you tune to the room, because more highs, more mids, lows, whatever, hit the snare, and the snare is like, too, like, because the ceilings are too high, so they have to like dampen it somehow. They put some, paper or like sticky things, I don't know what in English, but it's a thing. And then audience gathers, and then there's a certain layout, of like tables and chairs. And then what do they have? They have the opening act. And what does the opening act do? Or like several opening acts, like, do they like warm up the audience? No, they're almost like subconsciously tuning the audience to the fact that it's going to be an evening of live music, and we are all gathered here to like enjoy what's going to happen on stage, and like clap, laugh, and then maybe dance, or like there's like tuning them to it, because, and the restaurant, if it's serving food and alcohol, is tuning the people to like, here's our specials. It's like priming them, like to order from the specials menu. Here's our drink menu. Here's our, entrees or appetizers. It's like, it's all arbitrary. It's all made up protocol. You don't have to have an appetizer before an entree, and you don't have to have a soup and salad if you don't, it's like, I like having breakfast at midnight, but it's like tuning people. So it's like the room is the inside of an acoustic guitar, and then you have people who are also participants of an avant-garde choir, because they also make noise. And if you like really get into that, to the theory that every noise is music, therefore people simply clapping, talking, even if they're not talking about you, they're like talking, that's also, there's musicality to that, and absurdity, and especially if it's like juxtaposed, if you're like doing something like really epic and difficult on stage and no one's paying attention, do not get frustrated. It's just, see it as a Wes Anderson comical scene. It's just funny. And it's fine. That's life, because people will invest time, effort, and money and energy, and other people simply not care, even if they are close in proximity. And then sometimes I will try to highlight that in the videos, especially if I'm playing for strangers, and I'll put like their incredible reaction to the greatest song ever written, and they're just like, they could care less, but the camera zooms in of them being bored, and that's the humor, that's the story, so there are like a bunch of micro stories going on, and if you like look at it that way, you can like really like observe and have like a really like a micro universe going on in the venue of just like 50 people.
Yeah, man, that's things I've never even thought about. I am now thinking about. So thank you for that.
No, but
Cool.
But
that's really cool. Like this idea of kind of tuning the audience, because I feel like that a lot when I'm going to play live. Like that as a musician, you not only have to play the song well, you gotta bring the audience to, especially if it's a venue where people are actually watching the show and not just talking. You gotta bring them to your universe. You gotta bring, like, put them in that vibe, and because you usually build your set considering all of like the vibes of the songs, if you're going to start up and then you will go down, then you finish up, that sort of thing.
You're
So yeah, anyway, I'm just thinking here, like, how do you approach this yourself when you, like, when you enter to play the first song? What do you have in mind to try and bring people with you?
Everyone's doing that already. They just don't even know it consciously, by saying, how's everybody doing tonight? Yay. Oh, come on. You can do better than that. Come on, Burger King, make some noise. That is it. That is like, this is the threshold. Oh, this instrument is not hitting the threshold. Let me try to like hit the threshold. Okay, now we have more gain. So you like, you add more gain. Okay, and this is the level of energy we're gonna have, and then the songs themselves too, with like an intro and the drums, and then it's like, so I try to like not only address everyone simultaneously, how's everyone doing tonight, but also make a point to like point at someone. Because when you address a group of people by saying, hey, everyone, no one ever hears it like it's addressed to them. Because when even people in crowds, when they listen to a politician give a speech, they process everything as if it's stowed to a personal you, or if it's too broad, it's like, oh, it's speaking to everyone, therefore not me. So that's why word you is very powerful, and like pointing at someone and saying, well, somebody might have like a Led Zeppelin shirt. So I was just like, that's a cool shirt. You like Led Zeppelin? And they feel they are seen. And then that primes everyone else that they might get pointed at about something. Because not only people, they go see a show, you don't go see a show in sweatpants and a hoodie. People put jeans on, they put like shoes that are not slippers, and then they put their nice t-shirt, and or like, leather bracelets, and if it's a rock show, or like, people do makeup or hair, I don't know, it's like they also not only they go to watch, but they also are, when they know they're going to be seen by other people, so they make themselves presentable. And any appreciation that you can express for the effort that they took, not only to come see you, but also to invest effort into make themselves presentable and make time out of their day, and you point that out, it's going to like validate that what they did not do in vain. So that's going to make them feel good, and if they feel good, and then they have 5 people around them, whether it's their friends they came with or just within the proximity, they're gonna say whoa, just louder, because you just pointed this attention that, if they are not used to it, also spikes adrenaline and cortisol, but in a happy way, so now they're more active, they're gonna clap louder, they're gonna yell louder, and then they're gonna like, dance and enjoy themselves, and they're gonna also become more social and engage with others. He rocks, right? So that you're like planting explosives, metaphorically speaking, by pointing out to different people and saying something nice or something cool, or like, I like your hair or something. And then they come closer because they want more of that. So they're gonna like push themselves forward to the stage, and they become the micro leaders of micro group sections within the crowd. So there's like talk to them like they're one person. That's why I have one person who watches all my videos. It's like it came out as an accident, but it's like almost like we could write a thesis on the philosophy of speaking to one person, because if people feel like it's directed just for them, it's that much more important. Even on YouTube, when you add a word you in the video title, it's like going to get clicked more,
Yeah, that's super true, man. I feel like this is going down the route. Like, you could probably give a master class on stage presence, because I mean, when you think about all the experience that you already have, and like, these are things that the average person, I don't know if they think about it or not, but like singling someone out, because it's so true. Like when you say, hey, how's everyone doing? Like, who cares? Like,
yeah.
like, but hey, how are you doing? Yeah, you, the dude in the Led Zeppelin shirt with the mustache. Yeah, how's your beer? It's like, that's personal. It's genius, really.
Yeah, it's very you're right.
No, you're right. I mean, you're the one that said it.
Yeah.
Okay, with Dovydas, I've got a question for you. So, like, I mean, at least on the surface, it appears that you've got a show like, every day of the week. I mean, I imagine that's not the case, but I imagine you're playing out like what, 3 to 4 times a week, maybe?
Right. Once or twice a month.
Oh, I guess that makes sense, because you also said how you're like, you film an entire like 30-minute thing, like set it, or well, at least until the camera dies, then you can chop that up and you have content for YouTube. So that's kind of how it works.
Well, right now the operation has advanced. So I have a videographer that if the camera shuts off, he'll click record again, and then so I'll film.
That's advanced, man. It's advanced stuff.
Dude, that's next level right there.
You better be paying that guy well, man. Like, that's tough job.
Yeah. So I'll film the whole thing, and I've been filming the whole thing since 2017, I think, filming everything. I don't think I've done a show where I didn't film it, because you never know. Because if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? Yes, it does. If there's a video of it, you know. So that's been my philosophy. So I'll just film the whole thing. So it's like 3 hours is about 25 videos, 25 songs, you know. So and I post daily. So I think like right now I have like over like 600 videos edited, ready to go. And then I'm editing more. I have like a list. I've been like editing like shows from like last year summer that I haven't even like gotten to it. So it's gonna be like already like 2,000 videos posted on the channel. It's like another 1,000 like, you know, being edited, you know, and then like doing shows. I'll do a show at the end of the month, March 24th and March 25th. March 24th, that's like 3 hours. So that's like, you know, close to 30 songs, 30 videos. And then March 25th, I think that's like a 2 hour set, you know. So, and then, you know, yeah, just stuff like that. Yeah.
Man, that's insane. Like that is like, it's such an efficient system. I'm just looking at it through the lens of a YouTuber, because you play your show, the show might take 3 hours of your time, and then you have it all filmed, and then you've got like 30 pieces of content, and you can post daily for a month from that one 3 hour time investment. That's like that's so efficient. It's insane.
It's essentially, yeah, because like if you like shoot a video at a studio where you're like gonna speak, and I have friends, YouTubers, I've seen it. You have to set up the lights, set up the camera, and then have an idea what you're gonna talk about. Then it's not one take. It's like, we gotta redo it, you know. And some of them like use a teleprompter or something. They like write out a script for the video.
Well, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I'm that fucking guy, man. I couldn't do that shit. It sucks. I just finished an 11-page fucking script. Like, it took me 2 days, but anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you
That's why I actually. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. Have you considered improvisation? Just winging on camera.
Yeah, man, honestly, that's something that, well, that's what I'm really happy. That's like, I'm really happy about this podcast, because it's going to, by default, make me a better speaker without having to edit what I say. Right.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, anybody who's ever seen my videos, I'm not sure how much of my content you've seen, but
a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that.
I will make it up to you. I'll watch everything tonight.
No, I meant I'm sorry that you had to see my content.
I thought, no.
I apologize.
Okay,
But yeah, it's like, you know, anybody who's seen my content obviously knows that the way that I present myself is much different than how I've been presenting myself on this podcast. Right? And that's because I feel that when I get on the camera, like, your personality loses like a lot when you're in front of the camera, right? I mean, when you watch yourself back on camera, you're like, wow, I'm fucking boring, man. So anyway, that's why I've always like scripted my videos out and put a lot of effort into that, so I can, you know, present myself with a lot of energy and be more engaging to the viewer. And the reason that I don't stray away from that is because I'm like, well, my talking by itself, like improv, is kind of boring, I feel. But I mean, this podcast isn't about me. But
so check this out. So the of number one rule of improvisational comedy, and I think like even like musical improvisation, because when you're like improvising with people on stage, whether it's jazz or blues, it's like it's yes and like oftentimes when you're like solo, if you're like, you know, just you playing music or just you speaking, you're like, okay, I'm gonna improvise, but you got a yes and. But oh well, it's just me. Well, this kind of sucks. This is boring. No, you have to yes and yourself. So whatever you like don't know yourself. You know, like you say something, oh, that was stupid. I have to like, no, that was it. That was like yes and then you build on it. I'll have to send you a link to like one of my guitar unboxing videos, because it's like there's no plan. there's like nothing. And then oftentimes I will not even plug in the guitar because they send me a guitar, right? Like, and then I'll just like obnoxiously title the video. They send me a free guitar because I make YouTube videos, because that's the essence, you know? It's not like, oh my God, check out what Fender did. It's like, no, that's the only reason they sent me, because I make YouTube videos, you know? And then just a Fink Class guitar, I didn't even plug it in. I just like, oh, what tuners does it have? Oh, these are nice tuners. I don't even know the pickups, dude. I don't know anything. But it still gets like watched, you know, like you look at other people's unboxings, like why do mine get watched more than like a professional, like a breakdown review, you know, with like all the specs and everything, you know? So I think you're not giving yourself enough credit. And it's like something in the history, and it's probably like going back, you know, to the formative years, you know. It's like, because that's when like the majority of the personality forms and becomes the foundation, and then everything gets like piled on, and we don't even know, we're not even in control of that. I have no memory before I was 2 years old, but maybe that had something to do with it, you know, of like the belief of not being good enough, you know, and just in you know, regardless, you know. So try it. Don't I'm not telling you to change your brand, but it is very liberating, of just like, I'm gonna turn the camera on, and it's gonna be one take, and if it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be bad. So that's another thing I did, because like I liked doing like so there's effort, input, and then output, and then if the input is greater than the output, why bother with such a great input if it's not art? If it's like, if it's a song, yeah, I'll spend months, right? But if it's like, oh, we're gonna do an unboxing video, it's like, okay, whatever. So you make sure that the input is like fun for you, and then if it is cringe, it is important. And this is like a psychological trick I had to do for myself, to even get used to the idea of my face and voice being filmed and that existing for other people to watch. Because in the beginning, I just wanted to be a serious guitar player and not even sing probably, and just not even do interviews, and just do that. But it's a psychological trick of like doing a one take shoot of whatever it is, and then cringing at it and let it exist, and then just live with the cringe, and then know that tomorrow you're better than yesterday, but today, you know, you're not as good as you're going to be tomorrow, you know, whatever, you know. So because it sounds like by writing and spending however many days writing an 11-page script or something, is that what you did?
For context, it's kind of like a sales video as well. It's like, I basically, the way that I promote this program, 52-week guitar player, I'm promoting it in cohorts. So the first cohort is actually coming up in mid-March, so about like, you know, 12 or so, 13 days. So I was scripting out the video that I'm going to use to show people that are interested in the program. So I guess it's got a little bit more weight than a typical YouTube video per se.
Okay.
But continue.
This is the first time I'm talking to you. So based on your communication skills, there's like, you're excelling above and beyond when it comes to eloquence and diction and charisma and everything like that, and the sheer fact that you are hosting a podcast. So I believe like even you having this podcast is going to be like a good segue of like approaching a video, if that's something what you want to do, you know, and just like enjoying making videos more, as opposed to, you know, like really taking control and planning it out, because sometimes you cannot control human behavior or human interaction, and it's sort of like surfing. There's no control over the wave. You just kind of like adapt to riding it, you know, sometimes on stage too. So it's sort of like an improvisation, or like the bass player, for whatever reason, that's like, they're like in the wrong key, but they're like too far down the stage for me to tell them it's G, you know, and it's like, it would break the performance. So it's like, I just adapt to it, and I guess we are in G now, and we're just doing G, you know. So I don't know. And there's like because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of things in life like that, you know. You can't control the sunrise and sunset, you know. So, and I understand that, you know, as humans, you know, like we made the roads and shoes and cars and airplanes and whatever. So it's like like really like control of it, you know. But I think like there's like, you know, fun in that, but there's also fun in just like really like, you know, being yourself and just enjoying to be yourself. It's also could be like a cultural philosophy because like I'm from Lithuania, so it's more collectivistic there. So that would not be like, you know, as embraced of sort of like that free-mindedness and sort of like improvisation. Even like shit, even like Lithuanian musician improvisation is just you can hear it. It's just more rigid and less expressive. That's why even the concept of Floyd Rose for me was so radical when I switched from hardtail to Floyd Rose because you can exit the ramifications of frets. Full freedom, you know. But yeah, you know what I mean.
Totally, totally. Actually, that made me think really quickly. Well, Kyle, you're in Brazil. Like, how would you describe what Dovydas was just talking about? Like, is it as rigid? Like, because there seems to be a lot of great music that comes from Brazil. Like, I think of Jobim and people like that.
Yeah, there is. I really can't say the same um, about Brazilian music because I think that well, there's just so there's just so much variety, you know. But when we talk about this Jobim music that you give an example, and really bossa nova is the Brazilian music that's out there, right? That made people from other parts of the world know us. Um, I feel like this kind of music that has a lot of improvisation to it. People are really free about it, and when like if we get into technical details about it, and we're talking about chords, extensions, and all of that. You ask, you know, about this kind of thing to a composer, and if we go really um, to the old composers, a lot of times they don't know what they're doing. They're just doing so. I guess my point is that in that regard is really free. It's not so rigid, and people are, you know, are always taking influences for other places, whether it's European music or jazz. Obviously, it's a huge influence for some of our music. People are always, you know, just learning whatever they want and doing whatever they want with it. So, I mean, at least um, I don't have complaints about it.
Cool. As well on that topic. So Dovydas, like when you watch, like watching your videos and you know what we're talking about here, there is so much improvisation in your performances, right? But earlier on the call or on this podcast, we were talking a little bit more about, you know, the prep work that goes into a live performance. So like, because that's one part of it, like you have to prepare and everything, but then so much of your performance is also improvisation, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, could
Well,
you talk a little bit more about that? Yeah.
well, I've quit preparing, so so that's what happened. So the first, you know, song I ever performed in front of people, you know, that was had like all learned all the lyrics. There was like a structure to it, and I was, you know, did that thing and then another thing, and it was like I've learned it in the living room of my parents' house, but I performed it on in the on stage at the high school performance hall, whatever. And that's different, you know. I've learned it in the living room, and so certain parts I want to do differently because it's a different field. So the room, the instrument, the people in the inside of the acoustic guitar, you know, of the room, that's a different feel, different sound, you know. And so I would learn the lyrics of the song, um, and then when I would play with the band, because I played with the band since I was 15, we had sort of like not ground rules. How would you describe it? You know how like a baseball team or like a football team maybe will have like a special symbols that they communicate with different players with each other across the field and like, you know, whatever. So so it had to like almost like semi-naturally establish that with the band of like different symbols of like if I'm next to the microphone, that means I'm gonna sing. So like, you know, do it quietly. If I'm away from the microphone, well, that's the guitar solo. So like don't stop the guitar solo part because I'm not by the microphone, you know. So it sort of like becomes a dance, almost a dance, and then signaling for the band when to end. Because also I just did not rehearse endings of the songs because at 15 I already saw and I learned that it's like if they want to dance, we're doing a song for 10 minutes. We're doing the same song, and the end is this. That's the end. I will raise the guitar and the look. You give the drummer the look, you know, that's the look, you know, and boom, you know. So I'd say what was like solid and rehearsed tempo, rhythm, melody, harmony, chords, like solid structure, whatever. It's like well, of course, we start with a verse. So it's sort of like I'd say like first 30% of the song, that's sort of like it starts. And then the rest, it depends on where, who, when, whether, everything else. It's like that will like sound different. I think I have like 20, at least 20 Purple Rain videos, and they're all different. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Cool, man. Do you have like, and this is just a random question, but like, do you ever have people like especially like older men approach you as you're playing and performing and just try to have a conversation with you as you're doing that on stage?
Yeah, I've actually like, oh yeah, I have some videos. I think it's like he interrupts me when I play this or something like that. Yeah, it's just
What do you think of that? Like when they just like you're clearly performing and then they just come up to you and start trying to have a conversation.
so well. There's very many things to think. So the harder you push against the wall, the more like you'll exert yourself, and it'll be just really tough to push a wall. So you just ride with it. So what I do, not necessarily encourage, but just let it naturally remain for as long as, because not only I'm performing for in the moment, I'm also performing for posterity because everything's recorded. So not only it is interesting in the moment, it will be interesting later for anyone, you know, or funny or cringe or whatever experience they might have. So he interrupts me when I play this song. Just keep going. This is part. So not only, okay, when you learn an instrument, chords and scales and melody and structure, that is your art. And then the fretboard is where you live. But it's important to pursue all forms of art, even if it's not necessarily your forte and you don't fully understand it. There will be a famous scene from a TV show like The Office that is just a clip. It's just a clip of that, of like the manager, Michael, or whatever, whoever talking to somebody. Or maybe a news segment that went off script by accident by somebody interrupting the newscaster reporter, and it's like viral. Now it's like funny, interesting. Not that you should pursue because it's viral, but you should pursue because it's compelling, because it's interesting. And the reason it became viral, not for the sake of it is viral, it became viral because it was interesting, compelling, funny, cringe, whatever. So when somebody interrupts you in the middle of the song, you just transition from one form of art to another form of art, of nearly like improvisational cringe conversation that is like misplaced, and just let it happen. That's art. That's interesting. It's like go outside of like the structure of like album having singles and songs having verses and choruses and bridges. What if a song had just a guy just ramble in the middle, like Andy Warhol Banana Album? He wasn't even a musician, and he gathered people who weren't musicians, but that influenced like a whole wave of Velvet Underground, you know, and just like doing avant-garde. It's like it's art. It's just avant-garde because we're not primed to understand it immediately as it happens. But sometimes I'll sit in the restaurant, right, and I just dream of having every table mic'd, not even performing at a restaurant, just sitting at a restaurant, every table mic'd, And if I could like film and really zoom in into each conversation and then edit it out of context as if you're switching between radio stations really fast. So it's all different topics, but put together they would still make sense, you know, because they were like I was at a high hop and somebody, yeah, you got to find a Crip member, you got to beat him up, and then somebody else is like talking like how like I can't even say it, but it was just like wow.
I mean, you could probably say it, like, unless it gets
No,
us
I'll get
canceled.
canceled. I can't say it.
Okay. We'll say it after the call. Well, you can tell us.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Cool.
So, it's yeah, it's part of the performance. Because again, all noise is music, and if music's communication, so a noise that is communicative, which is speech, ramble, and interruption, music. Rap, is it rap? Speech off polyrhythm, polyrhythm, unrhymed rap. It's just, yeah, leave the beat going. I think once I got interrupted, I know I'm recording, so I just turned the beat down, I shut the bass off, and just and they're like, whatever, but most of the time they're polite. So yeah, I don't know, pursue all forms of art, and from a certain angle and perspective, that's art.
Fair enough.
I think this is a very cool perspective, because unless you're a touring artist, like from a huge band, and you're able to control every aspect of the show, and people are playing with the click track on their ear, and everything is so planned out. Unless like you're at that top half percent of the people, whenever you're playing live, a lot of shit will happen to you, and just embracing whatever it is really the best way to go. So if the drummer drops one of their drumstick, is it
You're
called
right.
drumsticks? I'm sorry, it
Yeah.
English. Anyway, if the drummer drops it and all of a sudden it sounds weird because he only has one stick, then just go with it. Just you can make a joke, you can make fun of your drummer during the song if the audience, like, if it makes sense for the place, because it'll lighten up the gig, and it just gets lighter, instead of you just worrying about the problem. So I guess that's really cool, and it's something that a lot of inexperienced musicians have trouble with, because, well, I think it's about being able to let it go, to let it go, the perfection, to let it go, just control, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Totally. So, well, what if Dovydas screws up a loop? Like, have you ever done that? Like, oh, I guess you were just talking about it a little bit, like when that guy was talking to you. But like,
Yeah.
what do you do in those situations? Like, you just restart?
Yeah, I'll just restart if it's really bad. Yeah. Well, I also have it's five tracks, so one track might be screwed up, so I'll just redo that one track, and it's most of the time it's just unnoticeable. No one even notices. If it's like all of it is really bad, I'll just stop and make a joke out of it. I think, um, yeah. When was the last time I was editing something and I was like, yeah, we got to. I made it funny. I made it funny. I was like, I stopped. It's like I don't remember what I said, but I remember everyone was laughing, or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, just because they're like, if it's like halfway through the show, like everyone's on your side already. So
True.
yeah, did I have anything ever fall gear? No, gear wise. Like even any disaster is not a disaster when by the time you like tune the audience and you've won them, like, so like I understand the sentiment of fear of making a mistake, and it's but like Kaya said, it's like, yeah, really embracing, because you can either have like, whatever happens to you, you can either like suffer and like that was awful, but if you can like not take yourself seriously and just have fun and really embracing whatever happens. Because like another thing, like Kai also said, these people, like they see these other like rock stars or whoever they aspire to play like, and then they like they want to do that whatever they see in the music video or in the live shows. What they got to understand that that's like 50 to 100 people behind the camera, behind the stage, that run the production, that time the lights and time the sound, and it's like there's like a smooth operation going on there, you know. So the majority of the time, if it's just like 3 4 people, you know, doing the whole thing, then sound guy tops, you know. It's just it's bound to not go according to plan, and just enjoy it, you know, because if you like, it's just going to be like 3 musicians and a sound guy at a venue of 50 to 100 people, and you're going to get frustrated about things not going according to plan. Well, it's going to be very miserable career for the rest of your life, because that's kind of like nothing's ever going to go according to plan.
Yeah, I heard a phrase once: "Man plans, God laughs," which
Here you go.
What was your, like, on that note though, like, what was the worst performance you've ever had? Like, how did it go? Like, just bringing to light all the fears that someone has about performing. Like,
performance. Probably on television, which, you know, if you watch it, it's not that bad. But because it's like so structured and so contrived, the worst performance. Okay, so, you know, you perform to like interact and engage with people and have that sort of like exchange of like music, and then people reciprocating good emotion for hearing the music. When Lithuania's Got Talent finals, I think, yeah, it's just you're so disconnected, you know, from everyone there, and you're just a trained dog to bring you know, money to the network, and then once you're done, you're done. You don't get to interact with them. Sort of like a variety show. So I didn't bomb it. I just remember, you know, that being like not enjoyable before, during, and after. Normally it's like stressful before, and then as you're doing it, it gets better, and then, you know, everyone's enjoying it. And then, you know, even like when you think back of it, like years later, it's like you have a good memory of that was good. And it's like, because I could really, really thinking like the worst, you know, nothing bad happened. It's just was the most contrived, the most just television, you know, which is that there's a way to do it on television. It's just, I guess I have a bad taste about, well, this one time I jumped really high and I landed on my ass, and then I was laying on my back on stage, but everyone thought I was doing Angus because they were still in the guitar solo, but they didn't know that I just miscalculated the jump and I just couldn't land on my feet, you know, but it looked like part of the show. So I felt really bad, but everyone thought that was part of it. So that's another like cringe moment that will wake me up in the middle of the night sometimes. You know, it'll give me like that decade late cringe. You know.
yeah, can't be miscalculating those jumps, my man.
Yeah.
You gotta get all your calculations.
I've seen people fight, and then the bouncer getting involved in the middle of the song. Oh, this one time I was playing for bikers. Anyway, so this Lithuanian biker gang hired me because I was like, well, bikers like me in Lithuania because they like guitar stuff, and, you know, I was on TV and stuff. So, and then they invited Hells Angels from Holland because that club wanted to become a Hells Angels affiliate or something. But before you become Hells Angels affiliate, you have to be friends. It's just like there's like a structure. It's like paramilitary for everyone who's never been to military. Um, there, and I was playing with a band, and everyone's like having a good time dancing, and then everyone left in the middle of the song, and then this one biker came. It's like, you can take a break. They're like, we're having a knife fight outside, and 2 dudes were having a knife fight outside. Just 2 bikers.
Okay, well, I just got the title for this podcast. Continue.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, so the I guess they got done with the knife fight, and somebody won, and then I continued playing. And yeah, but even bikers were fine. There was this one dude like tattoos on the face, bald head, tattoos all over the head, and like silver teeth on top, silver teeth at the bottom, and he was drinking absinthe, but like it was like flame on the glass, and it was just like the roughest dudes I've ever seen, you know. But they like you know, they gave me security. They gave me a van. They drove me to my house and back to get the gear with like security escort with other bikers. It was like the whole ordeal, you know. Yeah.
Now, I guess I mean, if they're on your side,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's pretty good security, I would imagine. Well, what about your best show? Like, how did that go?
My best show, it hasn't happened yet. That's what I like to think. So I just like try to like up with each, you know. So just doing shows right now is just like especially like gives them feelings of, you know, gratitude and appreciation to what I'm able to do, and you know, sort of like mental practice of not taking things for granted, which is people showing up. And the last show I did was like, I don't know, packed, you know, and everyone five such date, such place, and they came. And then I like to say, because it's also an exercise and a practice, I say, you're not here for me, I'm here for you. And after the show, you know, you've seen me, I have not seen you, so I'd like to meet you. So then every time after I'm done playing, I say hello to everyone who wants to say hello. So dude, you should see the line. And the line is getting longer and longer every time, you know? I think I posted a video yesterday.
Yeah,
It's like,
I was gonna say I think I have seen the line because yeah, you shared that video yesterday, and I think there was like one dude crying like when he met you.
yeah, he was crying. Yeah.
What was he crying about? Like just
Well, he's former military, you know, so he lost friends overseas, and he told me that, you know, my music helped him emotionally, and he found certain emotions in my playing that helped him to experience positive feelings and cope with his negative experiences that he experienced while, you know, being in military, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's probably like the ultimate compliment for a musician. Like when the impact that you have on that individual literally brings them to tears.
Yeah,
Probably did a good job.
yeah, it was, you know, nice meeting him. Yeah, and then, you know, people see that I work out, you know, so there was a dude that asked me to sign his weightlifting belt, and you know, I signed the weightlifting belt. Or you know, there'll be like you know, people will ask me to sign their phone cases, or then like they make t-shirts with my logo on them. It's not like, you know, they get them off Teespring. They just like they like the logo, so they like homemade a t-shirt with a logo. Actually, they like homemade a lot of things. I have a bunch of coasters given to me by fans from with my logo on it. I have a big neon sign of my logo by a guy who has a business of making neon signs, and he made. I have not picked it up, but somebody who's a like a woodworker and does like swords and metal stuff. They made a full size Viking shield with my logo on, so I have to go and meet the guy and pick up that, you know. So there'll be like you know, interactions, and you know, people bringing gifts essentially to my show. They come to the show to listen, and after the show, they give me something that they made, you know.
Yeah, the shield's pretty badass.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool, man. Would you say like, and this is a deep question, but would you say you're living the dream?
So I guess the with the definition for other people, you know, to live the dream, make it. And uh and so what I like to say, because I don't think there's any such thing as uh, made it, you know, there's only making it. So the road goes on forever, and there's no such thing as arrived. And I just like to keep driving, you know. So every show is something else, every video, every song recorded. Like still rearranging the pedal board because I don't like the sound or whatever, you know? So, and yeah, it it almost seems that the imaginary level of someone's achievement is so far out of reach, out of outside of your own ruler that you use to measure things. So this is your ruler of achievement, and they're like, they're not that far. It's just you think that far. So it's like, oh, they made it because this is my absolute max, and whoever's above my absolute max, the ruler of measurement is just expands with you. So for me, or for whoever, the ceiling just gets taller, you know? So it's not like I'm at 100. I'm no, you know, it just it's a very slow evolution, you know. It's and it's only happens with gradual development, you know. Um, it's like a vague concept, but I'm sure, you know, like even people with like 10 Grammys, they still have ambitions, you know, and they still like they haven't made it, you know, in their own head, because it's like that's the drive that keeps them going. The fact that they haven't made it, the fact that they are making it, and it's a continual process as opposed to arrival. Because if they had the mentality of made it, arrived, so they might have made it when they would pack shows in their local small town, and that's it. And they played a 4th of July football game next to a beer stand, you know, like what defines the thing? So it's like that ambition, almost the ability to the drive to strive for great things. It almost like curses you to never experience made it. And I've encountered other people who have, made or achieved way more than, I have, and they don't think or feel that they've made it. So it's like it's a blessing to have that kind of drive, but it's also they will never experience, yeah, I made it. It's like no, they're thinking of the next project, the next thing, and this is not good enough, and that can be improved, and it's like yeah. So it's like that.
So do you have like any goals then that are longer term or?
Yeah. So like so I have a bunch of original songs, and I really thought I like found like a sound that's gonna like well, people still request Amish Whip and 89 Plus and Mumble Rapper, or like JFK to LAX, those songs. But it's like I had certain idea of the sound that I want to go for and the way I want the songs to sound before I moved to Los Angeles. And then everyone's that's like self-producing, they sound like a copy of Post Malone if they're a dude. So I'm like, how could I arrive at that conclusion without interacting with these people? And it's like, it sounds like that. I mean, they don't do as much guitar, in the record, but it's just like, I guess, and now I just, whenever I am, placed in an environment, or I place myself in an environment, ever since I remember as a teenager, I've been a contrarian. So if like a bunch of people do a certain thing, I'm just going to do the opposite thing because, well, everyone's doing this, and I got to be different, So it's like I don't even want to do auto tune and Post Malone and that type of sound anymore. So it's like I want to do sort of like almost like grunge, and I've never even liked grunge, but it's like the opposing forces of me wanting to oppose the status quo, and the style and the fashion of what everyone is doing is making me want to do the opposite. So it's like I'm just gonna record a bunch of songs and shoot music videos for that. Maybe like write songs, even like criticizing in a funny manner, like LA culture, or like because also when you live like in close proximity to Hollywood, you hear stories of like celebrities that you don't hear otherwise, like Leonardo DiCaprio and noise canceling headphones, or John Mayer and glass coffee table. Um, like, well, it is a podcast, so I can say it. So and I've heard this from numerous sources. So John Mayer will like pick up chicks, right? And then they'll drive to his mansion in separate cars, and he has a glass table. So he'll ask the chick to get on top of the glass table, and he's under the glass table, and he'll ask the woman to poop while he's under the glass table. That's John Mayer. Uh,
Are you kidding me?
I've heard it from multiple. It's like a known fact in Hollywood. It's like
Oh my
girls
God.
talk about it.
What the fuck, man? I don't understand like these fucking weird fetishes. Like, it's,
And there's like a bunch of DiCaprio stories, and there's like Nicki Minaj stories. Anyways, so
well,
like
we should probably I was gonna say we should probably get into those stories because everybody, like, you can't just say that because everybody that's listening to this now wants to hear those stories.
Okay. Well, like Nicki Minaj, I was talking to a guy who who worked on the music video set of her latest music video. So she was late like 7 hours, and they're like at this like lot that cost like $10,000 an hour. The label is paying for it, but it's not like label's paying for it. She'll have to pay it back, you know. So anyway, she's late, and then it's she'll like she does like she posted this Instagram dance with her dancers, you know. So that like took 45 minutes. It's like the crew is ready to go to shoot the music video, and she's like, no, do it again, no, do it again, and she's just like doing, you know, doing the thing with the dancers, you know. So that's like everyone's just like that, right? And then when they're shooting, if everyone like looks her directly in the eye, they're like fired, they're kicked off set. That's like the buddy said, it's like the closest you'll ever get to French royalty experience of like off with the head kind of vibe. That's like
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj. It's like when people like bring her food, they're like literally they have to like bow their head, and then like, you know, because you can't look her in the eye, you know,
Wow.
she'll kick you off the set. So that's Nicki.
Hmm.
Uh, then who else I had? Well, I have one about, well, there's also Shawn Mendes and John Mayer story, but that's will get canceled. So I'll tell you after the thing.
Sure.
And then well, DiCaprio and noise canceling headphones, that everyone, dude, 5 different sources, like all the girls are talking about it. Essentially, so Leonardo DiCaprio has a Girl Scout. So there'll be a designated person, right, who will approach a girl at a club on behalf of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
And so Leo will text him, look, where you at? And he's like, oh, I'm here. And Leo is in New York, and the guy's in LA. And he's like, and Leo will be like, how are the girls there? Like, you know, whatever. Okay, I'm on my way. And Leo will take the private jet from New York to Los Angeles for whatever. And then they're gonna like, oh, I'm talking like I was there. Anyways, the woman, the guest of Leonardo DiCaprio, will sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna like, you know, vibe, chill out, and then Leonardo DiCaprio just puts noise canceling headphones and just vibes, you know, just noise canceling headphones, doesn't talk, just listens to music or maybe audiobooks, we don't know. But you know, when they consummate the union, metaphorically speaking, he wears noise canceling headphones. So that's the story.
When they consummate the union.
Well,
Does that mean that mean what I think it means?
I think that means what you think it means. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. I must ask though. Okay, so, and I don't want to get too personal or anything, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be curious about this that have seen your videos. You know, you've got some attractive women in your videos as well, right? So like,
Right.
we've seen this, and I know you're in a relationship, you know, for 10 years that you just got out of, and it wasn't really the best relationship ever.
Right.
And then you became single for a bit, and now you're in a new relationship, correct?
Right.
During your time, like with these girls, like was there ever like did it go anywhere? Like,
Well,
the people need to know.
The best rule of thumb is like to not practice bancest. You know?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's sort of like two dimensions of relation, you know, of a bandmate or like a romantic thing. And so in my experience, it just has been uh best practice, you know, to not engage in band sets. And so the guest singers were almost always just like either a mutual friend or someone random, you know.
Hmm.
Like Katie, I've known Katie through Sean, and then the first time when they came, you know, that was a surprise, and then she did really well, you know. So I had her return, you know, do a few songs, and then people in Nashville, you know, it's just I think it was Kayla, also like random because her gig set was like right after mine, you know, and then you know a few other singers. So it's just like more of a like a professional musician to musician type interaction, and that just like keeps it because if you like if there's like a singer, you know, that's like looking to build a following online and showcase the talent abilities, and then there's like a channel that has, you know, like subscribers in the millions, you know, and then to sort of like open with the thing, hey, we should collaborate musically, but then have an ulterior motive, you know, in the romantic dimension. That's very much like Harvey Weinstein vibes, you know? And so I do not participate in that. It's sort of like intentions are clear and I'm gonna usually open with that. So whatever, you know, if it's like music, it's just gonna be music, you know? And if it's the other thing, it's just gonna be the other thing. And it's like the person's not gonna be on the channel, you know? You know, like you'll never see them, you know? Because it's like that's like no, we're doing this for this and we're doing this for this, and it's like those don't intersect, you know.
It
That's
makes
like
sense. Yeah,
yeah.
it makes sense because, like, you know, kind of like personal and professional, right? It goes back to that.
Mhm. And then you know once so like I said everything I wanted to say about
Okay. Okay.
that.
Fair enough. So, what if someone is, you know, they're interested in playing live themselves a little bit more? How should they go about getting gigs? Should they just like fucking call like 10 bars in their city, like 100 bars? Like, how should they approach that?
Well, yeah, so a bar is a good spot. Also, depending on the weather, you know, you can only play on the street in the summer when it's warm. You can't do that in the winter. So uh, okay, so here's the tactic that I've used before I had YouTube, before there was any credibility or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because you know I was told to do this, and it just doesn't work. Here's what will 60% of the time will work 100% of the time,
Okay.
will work every time. So you show up at a venue um, that you know has live music, and especially if you're just beginning, so bar, restaurant, a hotel lobby that has a restaurant adjacent, and they maybe have a stage, and you know that they have music. You already know, and so you ask to speak with a food and beverage manager, or just say with a manager who books music. You know, most of the time it's just food and beverage manager or a general manager at a hotel. If it's a hotel that has a restaurant, if it's not a hotel, then it's food and beverage manager at a restaurant or a bar. And you ask to speak with them, and obviously you wear your best charisma, because if you want to be an entertainer and entertain people, you know you have to be sort of like outgoing personality. You know, not like a most musicians probably will be introverted, which is fine. I'm like introverted, who I've trained myself, you know, to be extroverted, but that's like skill. And like, you know, happy, upbeat, excited, you know, to meet the person. And they're like, I'm a musician, I'm looking to play here. And of course, the general manager, well, just like, here's my card, email me, you know, what you're playing, you know, if you have like MP3 or something. Like, no, it will never ever work. Even if the manager was like, well, if you have a CD, drop off the CD to like Lexi, and then, you know, she'll like, you know, bring it to my office, I'll listen to it, you know, and it's like, no, he'll never listen to it. You say this, when's your next availability? I'd like to come in and play for free for 1 hour as a sample, because normally a gig will be like 3 hours. I'll play for free for 1 hour. And if you like me, hire me. And, you know, when will you be also, so you can hear it me in person? So first of all, free entertainment, they're gonna take it. For you, it's practice, so you can play for 1 hour. And guess what? You tell everyone to come, okay? All of your friends, everyone. So it's like, oh, this is exceptionally busy. Did you see this musician has a following? So it's like with this tactic, I got like every gig anywhere I wanted and
That's
anywhere,
clever. That is clever. And when someone is doing this, how do they like? How much should they be paid? Like when they go to ask for like, how do they negotiate that?
Okay, so
What's a
that
fair price?
1 hour is a free hour, so that's free. And usually you have a tip jar, so if people tip you, that's great. For whatever reason, which I don't think is fair, but so that's not it's not an answer that's like what is fair. A fair would be like, I don't know, like a lot. That's what I think would be fair. But for whatever reason, since the 70s, everyone gets paid 100 per person if it's a band. And for like 3 hours, you can like score 150 to 200. Sometimes it's 4 hours for 200. Or sometimes it's like, if it's like a really nice place, you'll get like 300 for 3 hours if you're lucky, depending on the city in America. If you're working with an agent and it's like a private event, uh, agents usually will be able to negotiate more because they have a working relationship with whoever books the music. So I remember doing like private things, well, semi-private. They'll be like a restaurant, but it's in the gated community, where people own yachts and boats. So I would get like 500, but the agent's fee would be 150. So I think the total, what they were getting like 650, 700, and then the agent was taking like 200 or something, and I was getting five. But yeah, normally if you're just gonna show up at a bar that's like not in a gated community, not in a deed restricted Beverly Hills, Bel Air kind of type of vibe, yeah, it's probably like 150 for 3 hours, which is not fair, but everyone's paying that,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, I remember playing a show one time myself, and it was 150 for 4 hours. And people ask me sometimes, not so much anymore, but people ask me like, Brandon, do you play live? Like, why don't you play live? Because, my business in my career is 52-week guitar player, and then I have YouTube as well. And, so I'm like purely online at this point. Not that I hate playing live, but, it just kind of comes back to like 4 hours for 150 bucks. I mean, it's just, it's not how I want to spend all my time, right? I'd rather grow a following and then eventually return to that when there's more eyes. But for right now, just working on growing the audience, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, because then, that was, so I was doing before YouTube, like 7 times a week, right? And then some days, 2, 3 gigs a day,
Wow. Yeah.
to like, to like, do everything, so. And then you like establish like weekly residencies at certain bars, so like every Tuesday I'm here, every Wednesday I'm there, every Thursday I'm over here, then occasionally Friday, Saturday is not like as regular because that's more of a prime time type of night, so I'll be like all over the place Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday farmers market or some shit, like in the morning, and then at night maybe something private, but that usually Sunday wraps up sooner because Monday is a school night, so everyone has to like go to work. So that'll be like an earlier gig, and sometimes Mondays would be off, so that's you go to a jam session and you meet musicians, so most like open jam sessions. Oh, that's another thing. If you're like looking to play with other people, you want to go to open mics, but not like an open mic of a singer songwriter type, but like an open jam. An open jam is like when it's like there's a house band and they play for the first hour, and then there's a sign-up sheet where you have to put your name and instrument, and then you get to jam with musicians and meet people, so that's how I met everyone that has ever been in my band, through just jam sessions, because essentially like you're listening and you don't even have to play with them, you can like just listen, and it's like, oh, that's a cool drummer, and then you get their contact info, hey, are you on Instagram, you're like really cool drummer or whatever, or like a bass player, or then maybe like you show up there again and they're there again, and then you like put your name on the sign-up sheet and you get to play together, and you sort of get like a sample of what it's like to play with them, and especially in an improvised environment, because if they can improvise with no prep and it still feels and sounds good, then rehearsals are easy. It's like that has been my number one criteria, almost like as in selecting people I play with, you know, the ones that are like least amount of rehearsing, most fun playing live. Like, how can we achieve that? And it's like that has been the criteria for that.
Yeah, well, it kind of comes back to just, you know, like being competent at your instrument, right? Because like the people that can do that are obviously talented musicians.
Yeah,
You know, they're professional.
yeah, they're excellent.
Cool, cool, man. And you can deadlift 500 pounds?
Yeah.
How often, like, do you go to the gym? Like, what's the deal there?
Like every day. Yeah, I'll go every day. So I do like I started in like traditional powerlifting, weightlifting, and then I like adapted and relearned certain things, you know, to make it work for myself, you know. So I have like, you know, 4 different routines. I'll do like deadlifts one day, then so that's like lower body, and then I'll do like what I call push, you know. So that's like, you know, bench press, you know, anything that's to that movement and everything that goes with it, you know. And then the day after that, I'll do pulls, you know, so it's like pull ups, chin ups, and then everything that's in that family of movement muscle. And then I'll do squats, and then the cycle repeats, you know. So it's like, yeah,
Cool.
I could give you a breakdown, but yeah, it's
Yeah, maybe next time. Maybe next
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, exactly.
Great, man. And one final question for you before we wrap things up here is what advice would you give to someone who's struggling to learn guitar, but they're really passionate about it and they keep practicing, but they're not really seeing a lot of results?
Well, I think like persistence, because I think people give up too soon. So, so the definition of, hey, I've been practicing a lot and I still don't see results. Well, I would like to hear what's a lot by their definition. You know,
Well said. Well said.
I would like to understand what's practicing by their definition. What do they mean practicing, you know? So I've seen that persistence just trumps everything. If, you know, and it might take a decade, you know, but if someone just simply doesn't quit, it's like that laser focus that just overrides everything. It can even override genetics and nature, you know, just human persistence and just doing that relentlessly, you know. So um what I've noticed, actually I was talking to my friends about this, you know, how people will try something for the first time and they're not good at it, and then they quit because they're not good at it. And then, well, you might try it like 100 times and you might not be good at it. But if like you, yeah, I guess it's like evaluating how badly do you want it? Because if you want it really, really badly, um, I don't ever remember experiencing a sentiment of like, well, I've been practicing and I'm not seeing results. It's like the sheer process of practicing and doing it was already like, I'm learning witchcraft and wizardry and everyone else is playing video games. So like I'm that much cooler because I'm like, I get to do, I wasn't good at it. I wasn't good at it forever. But yeah, loving it, loving the idea of it, loving the process of doing it. And then every day, you know, persistent. Um, Also, like another thing people don't understand, it's the compounding effect of time and the amount of time stacking. They look at something and they're like, well, it's going to take me 10 years to learn this. No, it's going to take you like an hour a day, you know, and 10 years will pass whether you learn it or not.
It's true.
So yeah, just an hour a day. That's it. Like
Awesome.
a and repeat the day. That's it.
Well said, sir. Dovydas, ladies and gentlemen, and where can people find you?
Um, On the back of the cereal box where there's like a labyrinth.
Missing person or oh,
Yeah, well, used to be there, but I left Florida, so no longer there. So it's just like the labyrinth where you have to solve with a pen on the back of a cereal box. Yeah.
okay. So
Just watch my VHS cassettes. There's a new special coming out on HBO with William Shatner. I'm not in it, but you should watch it.
okay. Okay, keep an eye out for that special. Keep an eye out for the cereal boxes. Make sure you follow Dovydas on the cereal boxes. And we're gonna put it on the screen anyway. We're gonna put your socials.
Fantastic. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, sir. And 52-week guitar player enrollment will resume mid-March. I've been saying that since January. We are approaching mid-March, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, that's all we got for you. Okay, bye.